We'll call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals. Would you please stand for the pledge? Joe, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call a roll, please.
Keith Bratcher.
Here.
Joe Crowell.
Here.
Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Joe Machoto. Michael Rather.
Here.
Jared Barrett.
Here.
Zane Cantrell.
Present.
We do have a quorum, sir.
Hey, Michael, you'll be the voting member today. We have the minutes of our last meeting before us. Are there any additions, changes, or corrections to the minute? We have a motion on.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Have a motion that the minutes be approved. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. The minutes are approved. The BZA is here to assist you in some of the requests that you have in your communities. And let me explain to you just a little bit about how we will proceed. We will have a report for each item. It's before the board. And after that report from our staff, we will ask those of you who are requesting an item to come to the podium here, give us your name for the record, and any additional information that you might have. The board may need to ask you a few questions. After that, we will have a public hearing for those of you who would like to speak on that request. Following the public hearing, we'll close it, and then the board will make a decision on each of these requests. The first item we have before us is a request by Murfreesboro Community Church. And what do we have on that?
Application 2012-35, filed by Murfreesboro Community Church, is involving the location at 2555 Las Casas Pike. It's a 2.67 acre parcel that's zone residential 15. And Murfreesboro Community Church is seeking variance relief for the development standard requiring double bituminous surface for parking areas. They are actually seeking an extension to an approval that was given to them in 2010. They have come before the actual expiration because the previous variance was approved with the condition that the parking areas are paved within 2 years. And the expiration occurs in August of this year, but it appears that the funds that are needed to pave the areas have not been raised, and they need additional time to raise those funds so they can pave the parking areas. And staff finds that they meet the criteria for variance and recommends approval. And I'll just go through a few slides to show you the aerial and some photos of the area and the actual parking area that they're using now, which is gravel surface. Surrounding area on Las Casas Pike, and we tried to take a photo from every angle, but this is the church, and you can see the paved parking area, the gravel parking area. And that's just zoomed in to show you how it's functioning now, and that is the site plan that was approved in 2003 because they originally did propose paved parking. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here from the Murfreesboro Community Church? Would you come around to the podium, give us your name and any additional information you'd like to share with the board? What's your step there?
Good afternoon. My name is Arthur Lewis. I'm the pastor of the Murfreesboro Community Church. And we basically thank you initially for approving the request for a 2-year variance before a couple of years ago. And it is due to the fact that overhead and the expenses that we have versus the income that we have coming in, we're just not able at this time to follow through and complete the asphalt that's needed. We're going to need more time for that. We are working with trying to build up our financial, our financial banking, and that's been a very slow process, and we know economically things are a little slow, but yet and still we're still working and pushing hard to try to accomplish this task within a specific amount of time.
We have any questions from the board?
This will be for our staff. Daniel, if we approve this will extend this for how long?
I
3
believe that
years.
2
the
years.
applicant was
For 3 years.
specific, and it's in the recommended conditions, I believe, or the write-up of the report.
I didn't see it, I'm sorry.
I apologize. You say 3 years?
Okay. All righty, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion that be
Second.
approved. We got a second.
That second?
Gary. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Crowell. Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Michael Rather,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay, it is approved. The next item we have is a request by Patrick Bridges. And what do you have on that?
Okay, thank you. Application 2012-36 filed by Patrick Bridges involves a property located at 6221 Buckeye Valley Road. It's a 1.6-acre property located in a residential 15 zone. He is seeking variance relief to allow an additional 762 square feet of detached accessory structure area. He is entitled to 1,800 based on his parcel size. However, he would like to build a 2,000 square foot structure on his property, and that's in addition to the 2 existing structures that total 562 square feet. So he is seeking the variance for 762 feet to allow him to have the detached accessory structure. And these are photos of the surrounding area and of the subject property. And the applicant will place it in the rear of the property behind 2 existing detached structures. We posted the sign on the property, and that's the yard area that the structure will be placed. This is the principal residence, and we've included a graphic to show you the location of the structure. We received an informational call on this. No one indicated any objections, and that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please. Give us your name and any additional information.
My name's Patrick Bridges. I want a building for storage. I need storage real bad. I know I'm in a flooding zone. I pay flooding insurance. And I heard I had to come up here and do all this, so I'm up here trying to get it approved, okay to do it.
Have any questions? Joe?
Patrick, does any of your neighbors oppose you building this?
What?
Does any of your neighbors object to you building this?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it.
Make a motion be approved.
Have a motion to be approved. Have a second.
I second the motion.
Call the roll, please.
Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain, Michael Rather,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay, it is approved. The next item we have is a request by Joe Gurley, Rutherford County EMA. What do you have on that?
Okay, application 2012-37 is a request filed by Rutherford County Emergency Management Agency, and this site is located off North Milton Road on the same site as the consolidated utility water tank, and it's a 0.68 acre parcel located in a residential 15 zone. They are seeking variance relief to the 35-foot maximum height limit to allow a communications tower that measures 199 feet. The purpose of the tower is to improve the communications between the government agencies in this particular area. They have entered into an agreement with Consolidated Utility to allow them to use the tower also so that they can place it on the site, and I imagine the applicant can explain that further if you have questions. And staff finds that the site itself and the request meets the criteria for a variance, and we recommend approval. And I'm just going to go through some photos of the surrounding area, adjacent properties, and actual graphics showing what the tower is going to look like, and it's a site plan showing the placement of the tower on the site. And we received, I believe, 3 informational calls on this, and no one objected. We posted the sign on the property. You can see that's the type of tower that will be erected, and you can see the location of the water tank, and the tower will be located on the side. And that concludes our presentation.
We have someone here representing this request.
My name is Joe Gurley. I'm the Communications Coordinator for Rutherford County Emergency Management. We are requesting a variance to build this tower. This is part of an overall multi-site infrastructure upgrade for communications for the county, which involves communications for both law enforcement, emergency medical service, and all the fire departments within the county. This is, we've submitted, in addition to that, we submitted the FAA approval, the environmental study. We've done an extensive environmental study. Also coverage map of radio frequency coverage showing the need for this. And we request that you approve it.
Will Rutherford County own this site, or just is this a lease?
We will have a lease. Consolidated Utility owns this site, and they're in the process of procuring an additional acre of property at this location. We will have a lease or license agreement with Consolidated Utility. The tower itself is being funded through a Homeland Security grant, and we will have a long-term lease with CUD on this property.
How long do these leases usually last?
Typically, in the neighborhood of 20 or 25 years is what we're going to propose. CUD plans to also use this tower, so this tower will be there for some time. It's being built. We just completed a tower on Tiger Hill south of Murfreesboro as part of this overall multi-site upgrade, and this is one leg of the system, one section of the system that needs to provide coverage to Las Casas, Milton, Kittrell areas of the county.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing.
Oh, be approved, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion to be
I'll
approved.
second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
I have a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain, Michael Rather,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Next item we have is a request by Jenny Bracken. And what do you have on that?
Thank you. Application 2012-38 filed by Jeannie Bracken involves the property located at 400 Carstridge Road. It's a 2.8 acre parcel, and it's located in a residential 15 zone. Ms. Bracken is seeking variance relief from the standard prohibiting detached accessory structures from being located within a 40-foot front yard setback for a property located in the R15 zone. And the applicant, when they came in, they were notified by code enforcement they had erected the greenhouse. It's a hoop-style greenhouse without obtaining a permit first. They were unaware, based on the discussions with the applicant, that they needed a permit for this type of structure. And when they were going through the paperwork to apply for a permit to make it legal, it was determined that it violated the setback rule. And I'm just going through some slides showing you the surrounding area. The applicant has stated that they've located the greenhouse at this particular location because of its ability to receive sunlight, because the rear of the property is sloped and heavily vegetated. And this is the principal structure that's located on the property. We posted a sign on the property. And I'm getting to the structure so you can see that's the hoop-style greenhouse that is being requested approval for at its current location, which is 29 feet off of the property line. The request itself, after having sent out the staff comments, we actually pulled the plat, and which should have been included in the comments, but we also found that the site is encumbered by a large drainage easement towards the rear of the property that would explain the sloping nature of it, as well as septic soils, the location of the septic soils constraining the property. So her options to locate the structure on this property are fairly limited. We have received 2 phone calls and a personal visit in opposition of the request, 1 phone call and informational. And here is the plat that I'm showing you now. This is the Glen Rose Park plat, and you can see lot 1, and it's a faint line, and it's just because of the age, and it didn't translate very well when it's scanned, I'm assuming. But you can see the large public utility drainage easement that takes up a large portion of the property, both along the Baker Road frontage as well as the rear yard. And then the dashed areas are septic soil areas, so they are confined to a limited area on the property. The applicant also submitted a petition which contains signatures of many people. Most of them were duplicates at the same address, but I passed that out at the pre-meeting for you to look at. And we prepared a map, and we weren't able to capture all the signatures on a single map because the further you zoom out, you lose the parcel lines. And so we zoomed into the area that was most affected, because someone on Almaville Road is not going to be affected too much by the greenhouse being at this location. So you see the parcels in blue are in support of the request, and those represent signatures that you will find on the petition. We've also provided emails to you that were sent to staff. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? Could come around, please.
Sir, I'm Kevin Bracken. The petitions I have 91 signatures now total. We had more come in since the last time we talked. So,
to the secretary. Oh.
I have nothing further for you unless you have any questions for me. Do you have any more questions for me? I have nothing further. What was in our packet was what we have.
Did you have any other information you'd like to share about this request?
No, sir.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Michael?
Yes, sir. I have one question. Is this greenhouse used for your family, or do you have people stop wanting to buy vegetables?
It's for our family and friends. We don't sell any of the vegetables or the fruits.
What are the items that you usually put in there, and what time of the year? Kind of give us a breakdown.
Normally in the spring we plant the tomatoes, cucumbers, that kind of thing. The fall we normally put our potatoes in and our root vegetables around then, so carrots and that kind of.
Mostly your vegetable gardens.
Yes, sir. We have fruit trees on the property also, but yes.
How long has this been there that you've been operating?
The hoop part has been up there for over a year. The actual cover was gone the day the actual inspector came by. We put up the night before. So it only been up one day before she came by and talked to us about it. But the hoop part had been up there for a year.
Have you personally had any of your neighbors to object to this?
Yes, sir.
And did you try to?
No, sir.
Problem?
No, sir. He trespassed on my property. Asked him to leave.
Any other questions?
I just got one maybe for staff. Danielle, during this process or whatever, when this was posted, we only had one complaint. That correct?
Well, I had 2 phone calls once the sign was posted and letters were sent out in opposition. As far as complaints on the structure, I believe there was only one.
But I'm saying since we posted, there was 2 calls, one informational and one against.
No, there were 2 calls in opposition.
Okay.
And then one visit to, so 3 people have indicated opposition to the request.
Okay. Do we know or not know the ones that were in opposition, where they were in reference to his location?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Go.
I've got one for Danielle. We're talking about only 11 feet. He's off 11 feet. He's off 11 feet.
He needs 11 additional feet to comply. He's off the property line 29 feet
But he needs 11 more feet.
to meet the 40-foot setback.
Thank you.
Gary?
I wanted to ask him, it's a lightweight hoop structure. How hard is it to move it 11 feet?
The actual hoops are drawn, the stakes are drawn on the ground about 2.5 feet, so it would take quite a bit of work to actually pull those up. The whole hoops are going to be taken apart and then moved over and then put back in. And next to it, we have another garage, basically, storage shed kind of thing, and it would not actually, it'd butt against it, wouldn't allow the 5 feet variance between those two if we did that.
Any other questions? Keith?
Follow up. Mr. Bracken, if you moved it further back on your property, I think from the pictures and stuff we've seen earlier, it's pretty heavy vegetated, so that would kind of take away from the whole scheme of having the sun and the light. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing. For anyone who'd like to speak on it, if you'll please come forward, give us your name and the information you'd like to share.
Good afternoon. My name is Charles Griffith, and I live at 304 Andover Drive, which is right around the corner. I also have 18 additional that live right on Carstridge or Andover that look at this every day that are against this structure. One, I would like to know the purpose of the structure, what purpose it serves. Is there any way we could...
Give us the information that you'd like to share with us, okay?
Well,
we're not in the position of answering these kind of questions. You probably need to.
Well, according to code, you're supposed to have what the purpose of the variance is going to be for. This structure I see serves no purpose. I've got the gentleman that lives right next door that has a garden sitting out there that is doing great. He has no hoop structure over this. It's very unsightly. It's made out of cheap plastic. 6 months from now, when the tree branches go through it, we're going to have to look at it. The variance is there for a reason, to protect our property values. This is the first thing, and I don't know if they've really showed you a good picture of the structure, how massive it is. It's the first thing people look at when they come through our neighborhood. I'm here trying to protect my property values. I've been in the neighborhood 26 years, and you can drive through our neighborhood and there's no variance in the setback. And I don't believe it should be passed. And he made mention to the one trespassing. I put his sign up 3 times between Friday and Sunday after she posted it. Him claiming it wouldn't stay up. It stayed up ever since the sheriff was called that Sunday for a week and a half without it falling. He was throwing it down. I stopped and told him he needed a permit. He told me so, like he didn't care, went ahead and erected the structure anyway. And I feel it should be torn down and set back. He's got 2 acres that he could cut if he needs to put in a greenhouse or additional garden, that he's got property in the back just like everybody else. If you want to put it in, you go through the problems and do it right.
I have some questions for you. Any questions? Joe?
Sir, where's your house located? How many feet away from the greenhouse?
I am actually the second road to the left that cuts off. I'm within 1,400 feet because
1,400 feet from him?
Yes, sir.
Thank you a lot.
Any other questions?
Just got, probably this could be for Danielle. Really, if he's just getting the variance for the 11 feet, if he moved the structure back 11 feet, he wouldn't be here.
Let me explain the provision of the code for detached accessory structures.
Okay.
Detached accessory structures cannot be located in a front yard unless, in front of the principal structure, unless the principal structure is set back 60 feet. The principal structure is 55 feet off of the property line. So essentially there's two things that are causing the applicant to come before you. He's in violation of the setback, and he needs a variance to be allowed to be located in front of the principal structure because he's a corner lot. He's subject to 2 front yards, and the actual distance from the property line, which is 29 feet. So if he were to move it back 11 feet, I don't know how, I don't know how, if that would remedy the situation simply because of the placement of the house being 55 feet. It will have to be parallel with the house or behind the house.
Wasn't there also some discussion about, or I don't know if it really shows it on the paperwork we have about a drainage easement, that,
Yes.
that if he moved it in those areas, he'd be in those.
Well, and that's right, and that was not discussed in the staff report. However, it does factor into the specific conditions that are affecting the property. As you will see, this large drainage easement affects the rear and the Baker Road frontage. It's kind of hard to tell, and I wish I spent a little more time on this graphic to make it color so you could see the actual area. And the dashed lines are septic soils. And we actually had, when, I forget your name, John? Chuck visited our office, and he had some very good questions. We had the lady from the health department that works in our office, or the environment department, and pull the septic soil letter, and they could not, the septic soils are behind the principal structure, and that probably was the last little open area that it could have been located.
So really, he's just got a really limited area where he could put this thing in.
Yes,
I mean,
because you can't locate structures in a drainage easement.
Right, and we're saying that normally he would have to put it behind his principal structure, but if he does that, then he's going to be on top of his septic soil area. No, he's not allowed to do that either.
That's correct, and the other detached structures already there, so that kind of limits them.
Thank you.
Sir, can I make a statement about between the dashed lines there? Can she give me a foot, how many feet that is between there, that he can't put that structure right there behind the house in between the dashed lines?
Well, given the fact that I don't have the entire plat in front of me and I just cropped out the area that we could see and it wasn't intentional, the scale's not on it and it wouldn't really help me looking at the screen. But
Regardless of this, he would still have to have a permit to put that up there.
Yes, sir.
Regardless of the measurements.
a permit, yes, but it wouldn't necessarily require a variance.
Understand.
I understand it. We would still have to give him we'd have to prove the variance. I'm just, main thing we've been talking about is the location. So I know he located it there where it's at, but I'm just saying he don't really have much. We're saying he's have to locate it primarily behind the residence, but he's going to be in his soil area, or if he comes over to this way, he's going to be in drainage easements and public utility easements. So I'm just trying to, I guess, give him a benefit of the doubt where he placed it, not to irritate you all. I think just where he's going to be, well, only a place maybe he may have to put it. So.
And sir, my point being is, I don't see the purpose for the structure. It's fine if he wants to put a garden out there. His neighbor's doing it, has a big old garden. It's growing fine without a structure like that. It's our neighborhood. It's our property values. And there's nowhere else in our neighborhood that has any kind of object in the setback. And I don't see why we should start now for an object that's not very becoming, and for the simple reason that he doesn't want to cut any trees down behind his house to make room for it. And I believe that the codes were put there to protect our property values.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. Anyone else? Please come around.
How you doing? My name's Al Sanders. I live at 411 Carstridge Road, which I'm just right down the street. I'm the first house on the left-hand side past the corner lot.
About how far is that from the site we're talking about?
Oh, I'm probably 450. I got one of the letters stating that I was within the 500-foot range, and my issue with the whole thing is I just hate leaving in the morning, looking at a big greenhouse, coming home in the afternoon, looking at a big greenhouse. I mean, it's not very becoming to the integrity of the start of a subdivision. I just don't think it should be there. And like I say, the gentleman next door has got him a big building behind his house. Undoubtedly, he didn't have any issue, even though the water runs that way towards Baker Road. So I don't see why he, has such a big problem about not being able to locate it in his backyard out of everybody else's view. And, I just don't see the problem with it. Thank you.
Wait just a second. Any questions? Forward. Thank you. You may be seated. Anyone else?
Afternoon. My name's Tim Haddock. I live at 420 Carsters, which is the fifth house on the right as you pull in the subdivision. I don't know these people. I have no qualms with them outside that this is kind of an unsightly thing. My subdivision, I've been there over 20 years, is getting to look like an industrial park when you pull into it. And I've got people, all kind of businesses that come in there. We have restrictions in our neighborhood that it doesn't seem like lately anybody's paying any attention to. It states in there pretty clear what you're supposed to have in your neighborhood, what kind of fences, so on and so forth, just like any other restriction neighborhood. If a gentleman wants to grow a garden, you don't need a greenhouse to grow a garden. Is this greenhouse going to grow to be 2 greenhouses, 3 greenhouses, so on and so forth? I would appreciate if you vote against it. Thank you.
Any questions? Joe?
Sir, how far do you live from the greenhouse?
Pardon me?
How far do you live from the greenhouse?
I'm the 5th house. See that 4 up there at the top? I'm the next house over there. I have no idea.
What road you actually live on?
I'm on Carstridge. As you turn in the subdivision, I'm the 5th house.
Okay.
On the right.
Okay, thank you.
Now, you may have neighborhood restrictions to something like this, but that is up to the neighborhood to enforce those restrictions.
Well, that's kind of what I'm finding out, an association of some sort. I don't want to get in there. I think we're governed enough, but if you knowing this coming in, when a gentleman raising chickens and having a rooster, and I don't hear the rooster no more, and I don't know if he's got chickens and don't really care. But if you keep that stuff and your greenhouse in the back of your property, I have 1.8 acres there. I've cleared off the back of my property. The only trees left are the ones that I want to be left. So, it's a property value issue. I wish him the best on a garden, but I don't think anybody would like looking at this stuff as you come in your neighborhood.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Close the public hearing. Do we have any discussions? Ready for a motion?
Mr. Chairman, he's got 2.8 acres, and the house would be fairly easy to move. I make a motion to deny the request.
They have a motion that be denied. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
No.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Michael Rather,
Yes.
Dane Cantrell,
No. It is denied. The next item we have is a request by Charles Taylor, and what do you have on that?
Application 2012-39, filed by Charles Taylor, involves a property located at 7700 East Gum Road. It's a 2.14 acre parcel that's zoned residential 15, and Mr. Taylor is seeking conditional use permit to allow an accessory structure prior to a principal structure with variance relief to allow an additional 1,700 square feet of detached accessory structure area for a property located in the R15 zone. And the applicant, this building is actually existing. It has been existing for several years. However, the applicant has indicated that they would like to subdivide this property so they can give a portion of it to a family member so they can build their home. And so though there are no immediate plans for the remainder, which includes this accessory structure, because he is making action on the property, it required him to address the nonconformity that's on the property now. And so he is seeking approval to just be able to keep the structure on the property and have variance approval for its size. And we received no calls on this particular application, and these are photos of the surrounding area. And the actual structure itself. And I believe staff recommends approval with conditions, and we posted a sign on the property. And as you can see, this particular parcel has been divided and combined, and now he wants to divide it again. So to probably its original configuration. So you can see the placement of the structure on the lot that will be created. And that concludes our presentation.
We have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
My name is Charles Taylor. I live at 7710 East Gum Road on the 2.14 acres to the right of my house now. And I'm wanting to take an acre off of this and give to my daughter so she can build a house.
Any questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it.
Move to be approved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion to be approved.
Second.
Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Michael Rather,
Yes.
Dane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Next item is a request by Derek Veselek and Cami Perkins. And what do you have on that, please?
Okay, this is a request filed by Derek Veselek and Cami Perkins involving the property located at 4743 Veterans Parkway. It's a 4.9 acre site, zone residential 15, and the applicant is seeking conditional use permit to allow the establishment of a major home-based business of a construction office with related storage, and variance relief to allow an additional 2,160 square feet of detached accessory structure area for a property located in the R15 zone. And the applicant this site does not have any existing detached structures. The site actually was 5 acres at one point, but the construction or the widening of Veterans or creation of Veterans Parkway kind of took some of that property away, pushing them into the lower level category of 4.9 acres, because once you hit 5, you can have 2,500 square feet. However, he would need to apply for variance anyway with the structure he's seeking for this size. In discussions with the applicant, it was their intention to use more than 500 square feet of the detached accessory structure for operations related to the business that he runs, and that placed his minor home base in the threshold of a major home-based business. And so he is seeking approval to construct the detached accessory structure and operate his business as a major home-based business. So he will be subject to all of those conditions that apply to home-based businesses. The applicant did submit a plot plan with his application, which was submitted in your report. And we have received a phone call from a neighbor who was concerned about the placement of the structure 5 feet off the property line, which for the side and rear property lines, 5 feet is the minimum setback for detached accessory structures. The plan that was submitted by the applicant provides a generous setback from every property line, side and rear. And staff is recommending approval with conditions. The person who phone called, they were just concerned. They did not indicate any opposition, but they were hoping that this could be deferred so that they could be in town to attend the hearing. But I did spend a lengthy amount of time with them discussing the application and forwarded the report to them. And they, even after reading the report and everything, they did not indicate opposition. And these are photos of the surrounding area. We posted the sign on the property. That's the principal structure, the area at which the building will be constructed, the plot plan supplied by the applicant, and the aerial. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? Come around, please.
Hello, my name is Derek Veselage. I live at 4743 Veterans Parkway. I'm seeking approval for the accessory building, out back, approximately 4,000 square foot building, and the major home-based business.
Any questions? Jerry?
Yes. I understand your business is foundation repair?
Heck, yeah. And general construction, yeah. General construction as well, yes.
Tell me what type of things you would be storing back there?
Got a mini excavator, a skid steer. I've got 2 trucks and 2 trailers currently right now. That would basically be the exterior, and then the rest of it would go on the inside. And to be honest with you, everything's pretty much stored in the trucks for the foundation repair and waterproofing.
Well, the conditions that are stated talks about not changing appearance and such of the property. Will all those things be inside on a daily basis when you come home?
Yeah. I mean, I've basically got the drawings to keep the money side of the road, and I don't want, I guess with a major home-based business, you're allowed to have a square footage sign for the out in the front yard. I don't want that anything. I don't have customers come to the property or anything else, and nothing. Appearances will not change, no.
Well, what I'm speaking about is your skid loader and those things. When you come home at night, those go inside. They're not left out in the yard.
So they'll be stored out back behind the building in a fence, the skid steer and the excavator. Am I answering that right?
They will not be inside the building.
They will not be stored inside now.
Any other questions? Keith?
You say an excavator, you talking about a track hoe?
Yeah, it's just a mini excavator. It's like 5 foot by 5 foot square, and it's got.
It's a small one.
It's a very small one.
Okay, like for a landscape.
Yeah, I mean, I dig. Yeah, basically,
Okay.
dig up the holes for the foundation repair up against the house.
Okay, but you're going to have you have like skid loader, and you said you had big dump trucks too.
They're just two Ford F-350,
Okay.
Ford F-450, and I have an 18-foot enclosed trailer and a dump trailer, and the two pieces of equipment which would be stored outside.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Michael?
If I'm looking at this correctly, the drive going back to this building is down facing your property, the right property line?
Sir. Mm-hmm.
Several hundred feet?
About it's almost 600 feet.
Is that going to be gravel, or what is that going to be?
There's an existing driveway entrance on Veterans Parkway, currently located there, and that beyond the sidewalk is gravel, and it will continue gravel all the way out to the rear.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request.
My name is Edward Phillips. Live at 114 East McGuire Street. I'm here on behalf of my wife. She's the county commissioner who represents this district that it would be in. She regrettably couldn't be here because her grandfather did pass away this afternoon, so she asked me to be up here for her. She wanted me to report that she did not receive any phone calls in opposition or either way, but besides from Derek asking her to come up here to support it, and so she would ask for approval.
Anyone else? Close the public hearing. We have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to be approved. Do we have a second? Have a second on it. Motion dies for lack of a second. We have another motion.
Mr. Chairman, based on the outside storage and the dust that may be created down that drive, I move to deny this application.
I have a motion that be denied. Do we have a second? Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
No.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Michael Rather,
Yes.
Dane Cantrell.
No.
Motion carries, sir.
It is denied. The next item we have is a request by Marie Hatcher. And what do you have on that, please?
Application 2012-41 filed by Marie Hatcher involves a property located at 7204 North Lamar Road. It's a 13.92 acre parcel that is zone residential 15. They are seeking conditional use permit to allow private swimming lessons during the months of June and July with variance relief from the development standard requiring double bituminous parking areas for a property located in the R15 zone. They offer swimming lessons for 2 months of the year, and the applicant, according to the applicant, they have been doing this for several years. We've received one complaint this year, and upon responding to the complaint, it was determined that the applicant needed to come before the board and receive type 2 conditional use approval, allowing them zoning approval to operate the swimming lessons. They occur Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 7:45 p.m. They have lifeguards and aides on staff during the hours of instruction. They're not proposing to install signage, but it would be permitted if they were allowed. The site is located off North Lamar Road. It's accessed by a long driveway, and you see the homes located on each side of the driveway. And they, over the course of the summer, they instruct approximately, according to the applicant, 300 students. About 100 a day, and at most 15 would be in the pool at any given time. The applicant has posted signs along the driveway and entrance areas to the property and the parking areas to encourage slow speeds by the traffic that is going to the property. And the application is also combined with the request for the double bituminous variance relief, so they do not have to, requesting relief to not have to pave the entire area in the parking area. For 10 months of the year, they are, it's a residential structure. But these are photos of the site. You can see the pool area, fenced in, driveway area. They have a play area for, I'm assuming, kids that might be waiting, or brothers and sisters of the students. And we have received informational calls, but one of the calls that we received indicated they weren't opposed, but there was a concern with dust that's being generated by the traffic. And staff is recommending approval with conditions, and that concludes our presentation.
We have someone here representing this request.
Oh, and I might add, they did submit a petition. I apologize. And you can see the blue parcels that are identified are in support of the request, and the subject property is in pink. And also, this property is located both in Wilson County and Rutherford. However, it's on Rutherford County records, but the residents in Wilson County, as well as the planning department in Wilson County, were notified of the request.
I'm Marie Hatcher, and I live at 7204 North Lamar Road, and I want to thank you for your time. Every day, a child drowns in a backyard pool in the U.S., according to Health and News, that's June of 2011. And 94% of those children are 5 years of age or younger. We live in a rural area where swim lessons are not readily available. Our daughter Grace is a very gifted swimmer and a very gifted teacher. The word I heard most often from our customers or clients or friends is that it is amazing what she can do in 8 lessons with a child. You're probably wondering, why would we offer such a high-risk outreach program in our neighborhood? Sometime after we moved to Nashville area, we read and heard news stories about 3 children who were in a pool drowned, 2 of them drowned. We really struggle with that. And we believe that we needed to become involved with children. The more we reflected on this story, the more we were compelled to do something about it. And we knew it was something that we could do. The pool was installed for the primary purpose of teaching children to swim. The pool design was selected specifically for teaching purposes. It is fenced on all 4 sides, 2 lock gates, and a 10-foot cement surrounds the pool. Safety is taught in all lessons, and safety is emphasized with all parents during orientation. And we require that every child and every parent view a water safety video. We installed a backup water supply. We use Gladeville water supply. But the backup supplies for watering, spraying water on the driveway during dry seasons and during bad weather when it's dusty. We post signs, speed limit signs, and we post safety signs on our property. And we do all of this for the safety of the children. Our advertisement is by word of mouth. The Mount Juliet Chronicle, we have a classified ad there, and in Parents Magazine. Every year we pay additional $973 insurance premium just to provide these lessons for 8 weeks. We installed a total control system so that we control the chemicals at all time. We have a salt generator that maintains it all the time, and we put in a heat pump this year to maintain the heat. That's primarily because with little children, if they are shivering and shaking, it's very difficult to teach them. So we put in a pump that controls the temperature at a set temperature. Our fee is very reasonable for 8 lessons, and almost everyone can manage the fee. We serve a diverse segment of the population, that is, many cultures and many ethnic backgrounds. My daughter has taught 304 children under the age of 3 in the past 8 years. We know that those children that drown mostly are 5 and under. This year, she served 175 families. Anytime a neighbor moves into our community that adjoins our property, we go and visit them. We share with them that she teaches 2 months out of the year, Monday through Thursday, and the times. We do this because we do not wish to surprise any neighbor. After receiving the zoning notice, our daughter went out and visited all of our neighbors, with the exception of the one who filed the complaint, and every response was positive to support this outreach that we provide. 2 neighbors behind us on Couchville Pike we were unable to reach because they were out of town on 2 repeated attempts. Now, I believe that every one of us is called to give something back to our community. This is something we feel we have a gifted daughter that can do this, and we finance it. We subsidize this program. It is not profitable. We feel that the sacrifice of our private lives for 32 days each year is a worthy gift to give to these children. The laughter, the smiles, and the accomplishments of the children are rewarding enough. And tomorrow will be the last day of classes for 2012. So I thank you for your time.
Do we have any questions?
Ma'am, I have a couple of questions. What do you have, a 50-foot right-of-way going back to your property?
Yes, we do.
Is it all gravel?
It's all gravel.
You got a house to the right of that driveway and a house to the left of that driveway. Does that throw a lot of dust on those houses, the amount of cars that's going in and out every day?
Well, we spray it several times a day. It's not, well, it has some obvious, but we do try to keep it watered down so that isn't a problem.
Complaints, probably, if I lived there, I'd have a complaint against you, probably dust on me. Would you have any problem with paving this driveway?
I would have to just get a cost and see what the cost would cost us.
I say, would you have any problem if we permitted you tonight to continue your operation, would you have any problem with paving this driveway? How many cars do you have going in and out a day, 70, 80?
Well, we served 175 families, so there's a car for each family over a 3-week period this year.
How many cars per day?
It varies for a 2-week session, each 2-week session.
What would you estimate, how many cars per day?
On the first session of the summer, probably 10 to 12, 15 cars a day. A second session, a smaller number, and a third session, still a smaller number. The first 2-week session is always the most, it's completely filled. The other 2 sessions, not all spots are filled. We would look at that and certainly consider that.
If I live to the right or left of you, I would probably have a complaint with you myself, that amount of cars going out with dust. I live in a road, in an area, there was a road that used to go right by my house was gravel, and that dust would just pour up on top of my house on this paved road now. So I can understand why these two neighbors would probably.
Only one neighbor's complained out of all the way around the property. She surveyed everyone on North Lamar Road, Rockdale Fellowship, and Counceville Pike. And that was from my understanding with Danielle that area would be covered.
If you could even pave part of the way back, get the dust off these two houses.
Please hold. We'll have a public hearing and you'll have a chance. So hold your comments. It's not a discussion.
My question to you, ma'am, would you be willing to pave this driveway?
Yes.
Thank you.
Keith?
I just got a few questions, maybe a comment or two. Ms. Hatcher, no doubt in my mind the service you're providing is needed in this community or any of them. I don't think that's really the question here. Let me ask you, well, first, Daniel, I guess what brought them before us, because they'd already been doing this for some time. What was the chief complaint?
I'm going to direct that to Joanne, since she is the code enforcement officer.
The chief complaint was traffic and dust.
Traffic and dust. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You allude to on your busiest time you have 12, 15 cars a day. Let me ask you this, Ms. Hatcher, if you know from where you come off of North Lamar Road all the way back to your property, you know approximately how many feet that drive is?
It's 0.3 of a mile.
That cost a lot of money to pave that. I mean, I'm just trying to be realistic here. I think that's all I have at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gary?
Well, I understand what the concern was, and a compromise might be to pave the drive a few feet behind, far enough to get behind the houses that are close by. If that might be a compromise for them.
Any other questions? You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. If you'll come around, please, give us your name.
My name is Faith Cook. My husband Bill and I, excuse me, live at 7218 North Lamar Road, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, even though we're in Rutherford County. I'm sorry, I've got a frog in my throat all of a sudden. We moved there in November of 2011. In December of 2011, we met Mr. and Miss Hatcher, who lived down the gravel driveway to the east of our house at 7204 North Lamar Road. And Mr. Hatcher told us that I have on my written paper their daughter-in-law, but it's their daughter, I apologize, taught swimming lessons at their pool during the summer. He said that he keeps the dust down from the driveway by running over it with his tractor that has a water supply on it. We really didn't think anything about it, and they seemed like really nice people. The 1st of June this year, we noticed that the Hatchers had placed a speed limit sign 2/3 of the way down the driveway just before one approaches their home. It said speed limit 10 miles per hour, children present. This sign was placed 727 feet, or about 2.5 football fields from North Lamar Road, but no speed limit sign was placed between there and North Lamar Road. On June 4, vehicles started about 8:40 a.m. to travel back toward the Hatchers, and thus began the swimming lessons and our problem. Every vehicle that goes back to the swimming pool goes by our house 24 yards away 2 times, going and leaving. This is a constant flow of vehicles until about 8:20 at night, 12 hours per day, 4 days a week. A few of the vehicles go slowly all the way up the driveway, but most of the vehicles travel much faster, and those who are running late for the lessons are really going fast. Also, most of the vehicles go much faster when they are leaving, particularly after the evening classes, because I guess they're having to rush home to get dinner, baths, etc. The faster they go, the more dust that is stirred up. It gets so dusty that a huge dust cloud hangs over our house and our property and over North Lamar Road. On June the 11th, I counted the vehicles for a 1-hour period from 8:30 in the morning until 9:30 in the morning. A total of 27 cars traveled up the driveway to the pool, and 13 traveled back down to North Lamar Road. That is 40 vehicles in 1 hour. With the number of classes that are given at 8 pupils per class, although there could be more per class, I don't know, 10 classes a day, 1 pupil per vehicle, that equals a potential of 80 cars going up and down that driveway, or 160 vehicles passing our home each day, 4 days a week on that driveway, stirring up dust. The last of the 8 sessions is graduation, and the number of cars increases because the grandparents, the relatives, and the friends are invited to attend the session. The classes were scheduled to run through July 25th, although I've noticed online now that the last 2-week session has been closed and the last day is tomorrow. I have seen Mr. Hatcher run his tractor with water down the driveway only 3 times during the month of June. Now, this is what I've seen. He may have run it more. However, the day after the zoning hearing sign was put up on July 2nd, I saw Mr. Hatcher water the driveway 3 times that morning. On July 5th, I saw him water it 3 times. This is a safety hazard because these cars have to pass each other on a 1-lane gravel driveway that has a hill about 2/3 of the way back to their house. And sometimes there are children who cross this driveway back and forth between the homes on either side of it, and the cars go too fast. For instance, there is a white SUV that brings a child to the 10 o'clock class at the 3rd session, and it consistently travels 40 to 50 miles an hour in both directions. Now, that's a guess, but you can tell.
You need to finish up your comments.
All right.
We do have a limit, and I'm
All
sorry
right.
I didn't tell you all about that, but
I'm
we
almost
understand
ready.
your point.
About the 2nd or 3rd day of all this swimming traffic, I called Rutherford County Codes to see if they could legally have the traffic going up and down this drive. I was told it was not zoned for commercial use. I wondered if they even had a license to do business, and I called Rutherford and Wilson County Business Tax. No one had any record of any business license for these swim lessons. I've also spoken to the county commissioner, and he's been sympathetic to the problem. Most of the Hatcher's house, most of their property, and the swimming pool are in Wilson County, and the driveway is in Rutherford County. Therefore, they pay little, if any, Rutherford County tax. We don't care if they give swimming lessons down there. We're not trying to put them out of business. We do have a big issue with the traffic, the speed of the traffic, the dust created, and the negligence of them to do anything about it. Now, I have a couple of solutions. One, it would help if they water the road religiously every quarter hour while the classes are going on for this 8 weeks in June and July, and install speed limit signs and speed bumps all the way from North Lamar Road. However, this would be time-consuming, labor-intensive, and increase their water bill. so I doubt if they'd be willing to do it. Asphalting the driveway is, of course, an expensive solution, but we're afraid the traffic will go even faster unless speed bumps are placed every few feet. And even then, the cars would probably go off the shoulder to avoid the speed bumps. The best solution, in our opinion, would be to reroute the traffic to another entrance to the Hatcher property off of Couchville Pike. Mr. Hatcher told us a few weeks ago that one of his children was going to build back there on his property, and she would be using another entrance. This seems like the very best solution for the ingress and egress to the swimming classes, and it would be only a Wilson County problem, not Rutherford. Based on the facts, we respectfully request that this board not approve the conditional use permit for the driveway. And I thank you for listening to our concerns.
Are you primarily concerned with the dust? It seems like you've got a lot of other...
Dust and the speed.
You've got a lot of other issues with
That's
this. Even
mainly-
if it was paved, you would still be...
Even if it was paved,
Yeah,
I think
thank
they
you.
would go faster.
I got a question for you, Mr. Chairman.
We'll get to all of you. Just be patient, okay? I understand you haven't been here before, but I tried to explain how we operate, so be patient.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for you. Would you be satisfied if they put a two-lane like road and speed bumps on it? Paved it?
If there was some way that people can't run off the speed bumps on the sides, but yes, that would help.
You're talking about cutting the road
tremendously.
in from other direction. Does this property border another road on the back?
No.
And no. Do they?
Although my understanding is they do have a property right or something back there to Couchville Pike that is not used right now.
They have a right-of-way too?
That's my understanding, and Mr. Hatcher kind of indicated that a few weeks ago.
Okay, I have one question. If this road was paved wide enough for two cars to pass with speed bumps, say 300 or 400 feet back past your house, would you be satisfied?
I will if they'll keep their speed down. If we can also have speed limit signs.
If it had the speed bumps, that would keep it down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You may be seated. Next. We need to try to keep our comments within 3 minutes. We're pretty well versed on this.
My name is Debbie Mayfield. I'm not related to the Hatchers. You saw a picture of my house I bought in 2005. I live right, you saw two gravel driveways. One of the gravel driveways is mine. I live due east of that driveway. I paid $400,000 or so for my house in 2005. I believe that's when the swimming lessons started. My driveway makes dust. I'm not going to pave my driveway. My driveway is probably 150 yards from the road to my garage, and then another 50 or 60 yards out to my metal building, which is also gravel, which goes, my house is about the same distance from North Lamar as Ms. Cook's house. I don't have a problem with it. The wind generally, unless there's a really bad storm, it usually blows from west to east, so the dust is usually coming my way. Last year I built all kinds of flower beds and worked out in my metal building. Yes, there's some dust when the cars go down, but all the cars are going in at the same time, and they're all coming out at the same time, so we don't need 2 lanes really. It's a narrow gravel road just like a driveway. The Hatchers have a big easement on either side, just like I have a big easement on my driveway. And I'd just like to say I'm really glad that these children are learning to swim.
Well, this has been an unusual summer. Those folks who don't believe in global warming, it's here now. So we'll see a lot of this type of weather. And I suspect that a normal June, you wouldn't have had this much. But you know, that's speculative on my part. So those are things we have to consider. We appreciate your comments.
Got one question, Mr. Chairman. Can you tell me, ma'am, how long you've lived there?
Since 2005. I moved in June of 2005.
Already. Right. So you're right there at 7190. You would be one of the most impacted by this, if any. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Next.
My name is William Corbin. I live at 7300 North Lamar. You see right there, my east property line is approximately 400 feet west of this drive that's in question. Late last month, Grace came to my house and asked me to sign a petition. And I asked her what for, and she said, this is so I can continue my charity work teaching children to swim. I said, wonderful. I have no problem with that. I knew she taught swimming lessons, but assumed that it was just a small business. But she said it's charity work, so I signed it. Since then, I've gone to the website, and what I see are classes all day long into the evening, $50 per child per course. This is a business. Now, whether they make a profit, we all know how that can be. You may or may not make a profit on a business, but this is a business. Is it licensed in either Rutherford County or Wilson County? I don't know. The estimates of the traffic, I was amazed when she said there were so few cars going up there, because I work out in my yard, have trees on that side, and I see the cars going back and forth. And they don't all leave and come at the same time. I've seen some SUVs almost playing chicken on this one-lane road, and the dust is amazing. I've never seen it sprinkled. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but I'm just saying I've never seen it. And I'm out there, I'm retired now, I'm out there 8 hours a day quite frequently. So my biggest concern is that it seems to me that should we have a business with this many customers using this long single-lane drive? It's not a road, it is a drive. So that's my concern.
Any question?
Just one. Your name again and how long?
William Corbin.
Okay, and how long have you lived there, Mr. Corbin?
I've been there 13 and a half years.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. Next. Anyone else?
I'm Donald Hadger, the husband of Marie. She misspoke. There were 12 to 15 cars per hour, not per day. And we do charge $50 per child for 2 weeks. We spend about $4,000 per year more than we bring in. Now, I don't mind subsidizing the build of asphalt road, but I'll have to raise the price. Which brings up the question, if you raise the price, a lot of poor people are not going to be able to bring their kids. Are we going not to teach those levels? Are we only going to teach the ones that can afford to pay $150 a session? That's what the competition charges. So, yes, we can pave it. We will. We'll put in the speed bump. Why are we doing it? 25 years as the medical laboratory director for a pediatric hospital. We love kids. My wife is a Lutheran minister. She preaches to little kids. Anything we can do for kids, we're going to. We ask you permission conditionally to continue to teach at the lowest cost possible. $30,000 is what they quoted me to pave that driveway. Gotta come out of somebody's pocket. I can't subsidize that much.
Any questions? Thank you. You may be seated. Anyone else? Any other comments? We'll close the public hearing now.
I wanted to know, Mr. Chairman, was there an indication, do the Hatchers actually live there? Yes. Thank you.
Let's discuss this a little bit.
I just have a few comments. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make in my comments earlier, I said about the Hatchers, I don't doubt what they're doing is a good thing in teaching children how to swim. I think it's a good thing. I don't think that's the question here. Just for comment sake, I know when we deal with the home-based businesses, we try to definitely look at what impact it's going to have on the surrounding neighborhood or areas or whatever. But with all the comments being made, I somewhat have a little bit of a problem with the amount of traffic, amount of cars. I mean, he said 15 cars an hour. If this business operating 10 hours a day, I mean, that's in his own words, that'd be over 100 cars a day. I could see not only the dust. I mean, I think that's just a lot of impact of a business in a even though it's a rural setting of 100 cars plus a day just going in and out of this one residence. So that's just my comments. That's just kind of where I am with it.
Any other comments? Any discussion? Michael?
Yeah, I've got a few. I certainly agree with what Keith just said, and would be a whole lot more concerned if it were a year-round business as opposed to just a few months during the summer. And I'm also, I understand dust is an issue, and this is, as Chairman has already alluded to, this has been a little different summer this year. And I would like to maybe propose to the Hatchers that they have some discussions. I saw an awful lot of emails from clients that just sing praises of this ministry or these lessons, and I would think that those clients would be more than willing to slow down if they had a discussion from the Hatchers that if you come down this driveway at 25, 30 miles an hour, you're not going to be allowed back on the property. And I'm sure those clients would be very cooperative in accommodating that.
Gary?
I wanted to say that, the length of that, it makes it pretty cost prohibitive when we talk about paving and such. But I have become aware in my business about there are other dust mitigation issues that are quite effective, and that we might suggest some of those to them.
Go.
I can assure you there is a large quantity of dust because Christiana Lane runs right by my house. In the first few years of my 21 years of living there, that road was gravel. And very few cars went down that road, but our house stayed covered with dust. Unless you kept that road watered 24 hours a day, you're going to have large quantities of dust with cars going up and down that road. Thank you.
Let me make these observations. I think this is a great project that they're doing. Someone called it a ministry, and I think that really is. Reach out for those kids in the rural area that need this safety. It's almost constantly we read about kids drowning. The safety issues can't be stressed enough. As an old-time school teacher, it's something that I think that kids can learn to save their lives in situations of where they are swimming without adult supervision, which I don't recommend that any child be out swimming without adult supervision. The problem I see with this site, even though some of the neighbors had a lot of other comments, would be the dust issue. And I think the hatchers understand this now. There is a problem there with the dust. And I think that we need to try a lot of different things besides watering the driveway down. There are other issues that will be a lot less expensive than paving the entire driveway, and to use those, even though I will admit now, and all of you will have to too, this has been an unusual summer, and we're talking about 2 months. So I really would like to see the hatchers work on that. If we approve it, we need to ask our folks, our staff people, to keep an eye on it and report back to us any other issues with the dust. Now, the other things, I think with the education of the people who are going there for the swimming lessons and a stern caution from the hatchers will stop some of this fast driving, even though, you know, we can't have police out there on a driveway monitoring that, but the hatchers can monitor that themselves. So that's what I observed in this, and I think we're ready for a motion. Would somebody put a motion on the floor and a second to it, and then we can vote our conscience on it? We all got differing opinions here.
Motion be approved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion that be approved. We have a second.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Call a roll, please.
Bratcher,
No.
Joe Crowell,
Mr. Chairman, they aren't even making a motion to have it paved or anything. It's just leave as is. That's what the motion is?
Leave it as is.
No.
Jerry Sartain, Michael Rather,
Yes.
Dane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
It is approved. Do we have anything else? We are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.